Hello, hello, hello. Happy day, people. This is Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Sean and Tracy. I am Sean Johnson.
I am Tracy Davis-Johnson.
And our podcast is about having conversations with people 50 and over, where they're talking about their wealth, their health, and their life changes. So like, share, and subscribe. Hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to Tea and Cornbread with a conversation with Sean and Tracy. I am your host, Sean Johnson.
And I'm Tracy Davis-Johnson.
And we are having another awesome conversation today with a special guest.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness, Vicki Copeland. She is originally from Waterbury. We all grew up together. And, shop talk. We're going to have some shop talk today. Vicki's been doing some great things, and so we want to just hear her story so she can encourage and empower. Y'all know what our conversations are about, is encouraging and empowering people that are 50 and over.
Yes.
Because, some people feel like it's over the hill, but it's not.
Absolutely
not.
No.
Yeah, right?
We're just beginning.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. We got grandkids now and all that good stuff, you know. So yeah, let's get it going. Let's get it going. How's your weekend, Trey?
My weekend was awesome. I'm blessed to be here.
Awesome.
How about yours?
It was great. Not uneventful, I'll say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those are always okay, though.
Yeah.
You don't always got to have something going on.
Yeah. No. I mean, meaning not something bad. When
Oh,
I say
okay.
uneventful.
Yeah,
not
well,
I went to a
I take
party
uneventful as
yesterday.
different,
Yes.
meaning
Right.
there wasn't a lot going on.
Okay.
You just were laid back.
Yeah.
So you had an event to go to.
Yeah, we went to a party yesterday, and
Nice.
we partied. And let me tell you something. I was like, we were sweating the whole time. Like, that's the kind of party we like.
That's a
and
good
we was
party.
home before 10.
Okay.
And sleep before 11.
Yeah, sleep before 11.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Nice.
All right, so Miss Vicki.
Yes, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, and
Welcome.
thank you, beautiful ladies, for having me this morning. I'm just honored. I'm honored.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this weekend I had the chance to spend some time with my husband's family and just laugh, live,
Nice.
laugh, love. Just have an amazing weekend. So
That's
happy to
nice.
be here.
Yeah.
Home.
And we're
Yeah,
glad to have
home,
you.
right?
We're glad to
Right.
have you.
Yeah. Okay.
What we wanted to do is just go right into it.
Okay,
like
let's
we
do
said,
it.
welcome home.
Yeah,
because
welcome
this is
home.
home. We wanted to just talk to you about your journey in real estate. So you tell us, what got you interested in going that path?
Great question. So for me, I've always had an interest in real estate. However, when we bought our first house, we were in that house for a week. Went down in the basement, and the basement was flooded, like total flooded. So through that process, we had to learn how to get those things repaired, what the process was, and that was a learning process for me. And I thought to myself, that was like $2,000 we had to spend
Right.
to get the basement remediated. So that for me was like one of the triggering things to say, I'm going to go get my real estate license. So, and at that time I was already working for a mortgage company, so I was already interested in it. So it just kind of was a flow for me. Went out, got my license, took my test, and just got right to it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
So let's back up a little bit. So you were in Waterbury. You started real estate here, though.
Yes, in Waterbury, yeah.
And when you started real estate here, before you left, and what made you decide to leave? I know we all, have that thought. Waterbury is crazy. I want to experience something different. So how long have you been gone, and what made you want to move?
Yeah, first I start with Waterbury is home.
Yes.
Love Waterbury will always be. That's where I learned. That's where I came from. That will always be my grounding. So what made me leave, my daughter had left to go to A&T.
Okay.
She moved to Greensboro. And when she was there, she's like, I'm not coming back.
Oh,
I
wow.
am never coming back. Now, my dad's from North Carolina.
Okay.
So I always said I would move to North Carolina, but my husband was not. He's like, I am not leaving Waterbury. I will not. But once my daughter went and she's like, I'm not coming back, he's like, I'm
Guess
going.
we gotta go.
We're
right?
going. Yes, we're going. And one of my sisters was already there. And then my other sisters were in Atlanta. So we went down. Our original plan was to move to Greensboro. And once we got to Greensboro, we visited Charlotte. My sister Sheila was in Charlotte. And when Derek went there, he was like, we're going to Charlotte. We're moving to Charlotte. So came back home like 6 months later, we were gone.
Done.
Packed up and left,
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome, because I say that's a huge step when you decide to pack up and leave. Like you said, your husband said, no way, no way. That's where I feel as I am at too. I don't want to leave because my family, my friends, and everything I know, my children and grandchildren are here.
Yeah.
So that's definitely would you say it's one of the, I don't want to say best moves, but a good move that you made when you did that, when you decided to pack up, leave, and
It was one of the best moves.
Okay.
Yes. The hard part is leaving family. It is, and when we come home, it's hard for us to leave. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So, but yes,
Yeah.
it was one of the best things I've done for myself and for my family. So.
okay.
Yeah.
So when you left Waterbury, though, you've already were established. You had your real estate license, and what was that journey like, leaving Connecticut and having to pick it up in North Carolina?
Oh, that was a journey. That was a journey. And I like to tell people that real estate looks nice, it looks glitzy, it looks
Yeah,
glamorous,
yeah.
right? But there's another side. So we moved to a city. I know no one. I didn't know
Okay.
anyone. So my first couple of months there, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I need to go out and work because
Right.
it was hard. It was difficult. I didn't know anyone. So I decided to go out and interview some teams and said, maybe I need to have a team behind me just to get my foot in the door. And that was probably one of the best moves that I've made.
Okay.
And I came in contact with, by God's blessing, with a team that was like very structured, very organized. They were, just a big team in Charlotte. And they put me in front of some people that just completely changed my life.
Nice.
And that's just a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So give us some examples.
so for one, I was working for an insurance company when we moved to Charlotte. And the broker at the time, he's like, you can't chase two rabbits. You have to make a choice. So I'm like, okay, but I still need this 2-week check because that's how we're raised, right? We're
Right,
raised.
right.
You need
Yeah.
that 2 weeks. You need to
Yeah,
make a check. And so I'm like, quit my job. I can't do that. And so he's like, you cannot chase two rabbits and be successful. So I had to make a choice. Am I going to do this and continue 2 jobs, or am I just going to put my 100% into real estate?
Okay.
And talk to my sisters, my accountability partners, of course.
Nice.
And each one of them, I swear that each one of them have a purpose for me. One is, did you plan? Did you pray? Did you prepare?
Okay.
Nice.
I like that.
Nice.
Hold on. Repeat
Yeah,
that. Repeat
nice.
that.
Did you plan? Yeah, those are my sisters. And then with my husband, he held it down because I need someone in real estate. That's another thing people don't understand. You do not get paid
Right
until
away.
you do not get paid until that transaction closes. So there's
Okay.
got to be some financial talks, right, with your family and understanding and planning for that. So he held it down. Well, I got out there and just got my feet wet in the real
Okay.
estate market in Charlotte. So yeah,
Nice.
And it helps that you're a people person.
yes,
It helps
yes.
that it's easy for you to talk to people, because that makes a difference too. Because the good thing is you thought about, let me find out where I can have a foundation or build a foundation by interviewing teams. That's important. You interview them.
Right.
They didn't interview you. You know what I mean? You interview them, and that's really important. When people say, like you said, I'm gonna go get my real estate license. You know how many people say that on a regular basis, but they don't know the behind. They don't know the hustle that it takes.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And like you said, you don't get a paycheck on a regular basis. It's determined on that house that's closed.
Right.
And one house might be, and is it still like 3% or something like that?
3%. When you're listing, I've moved from buyers. There's a difference. I moved to like listing homes because you make more money. It's like 6%. Charlotte is like there's no set rate, but the going rate is more like 6%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you think about that, if a house is $25,000 or $250,000, the check is different. Even though it's 6%, but the check is different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So then how do you plan that? You know what I mean? Let's talk about how you got your feet wet with
Well,
this team.
I don't mean to take that from you, but before we lose it, your team, you said you had your husband, you had your sisters. Outside of that, how did you build that team? Because you knew nobody, you said.
Right.
So how did those people, I'm new, coming to a new city. I don't know how to build a team. How would you tell someone how to accomplish that?
Right. So I joined an actual real estate team, an established team.
Okay.
So me, myself,
Okay.
being new. Right. So they provided leads,
Gotcha.
got me into,
Okay.
taking on their clients until I was able to build my own book of business. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. That was important.
That was important.
Yeah,
Right,
that was
right.
important. Okay, so when you got your feet started and everything like that, and you found that team, did they? And then you had to learn the lay of the land while you were there on top of it,
Right.
right? So, and I didn't realize how big Charlotte was.
Charlotte is huge.
Yeah.
So coming from selling real estate in Waterbury, where I knew
Right.
everyone, my friends knew friends, my coworkers, I was able to sell through word of mouth, right? I was able to sell real estate that way. It was easy. When I got to Charlotte, it was a whole new, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm built for this, right? And so I had to make a decision. Either you're doing it or you're not.
Or you're not.
You're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And how long have you been doing it down there so far?
let's see, 4 years. 4 years.
Okay, okay. So you've done pretty well in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, according to what I see.
Right. And I love to say that I'm doing very well, but I also like to give people the reality that it is a grind, right?
Yeah.
Real estate is not all the pretty HGTV. We get dressed, we put
Right,
on red bottoms, and we go out and sell
right.
homes. No. So yeah, I like to give people that reality because a lot of people, young people, unfortunately, don't understand that. So
Right,
yeah, it's
right.
not all glitz and glamour. It's not.
Yeah.
So,
You got to
I'm-
put in the
yeah.
time to work,
Absolutely.
the education.
Right.
And
Especially
you also,
the education,
you definitely have to educate yourself. You were looking at, there's 17,000 real estate agents in Charlotte.
Wow. 17,000.
Right. So you have to brand yourself to show, to have people, hey, look, listen, you are going out there to sell yourself, and someone has to trust in you to purchase probably their greatest asset of their
Why?
lifetime.
Yeah, you got to
So-
say why pick Vicky?
Right.
So you have to make yourself shine,
Right.
stand out. That's a lot.
So
That's
you
a
have
lot.
to brand yourself. You have to educate yourself for one, because I would never want to step into an arena and have you, Sean. I'm representing you, and I'm not educated enough to help you purchase your home.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
and then it's
constant.
building relationships.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
when you're building relationships, anywhere you go, right? And then the word of mouth happens. You know what I'm saying? And then the other thing too is you're in Charlotte, so you're licensed in how many states?
I'm licensed in North and South Carolina.
North and South Carolina. Okay. And so when someone is relocating, what's the process when they're relocating? What is it? Some of the things that you make sure that they know.
That's great. That's a great question. When they're relocating, that's actually even a bigger part of the job, because these people are trusting you from across the country, right? There are people that are coming from, and I love it, a lot of people coming from the tri-state. So you're actually going out there and viewing homes for them on their behalf.
Okay.
So you have to be their eyes and ears on the ground. And typically I'll meet with them virtually through Zoom or whatever. And we're going out. I'm actually literally their eyes and ears on the ground. We're doing video tours. I've sold homes to people that haven't even stepped in them yet. So
Wow.
you have to be sure that you are working on their behalf.
Right.
So,
And they trust you.
And
You
they
know,
trust you,
they
absolutely.
absolutely trust you, because if you have to be their eyes and their ears and the do's and the don'ts, they absolutely have to trust you.
Right.
So that's awesome for you.
yeah, so
that
you
they
have to
put that
build
in you.
enough,
Yeah.
enough rapport and just enough relationship with them for them to
Nice.
trust you.
And then when that
Nice.
happens, they're like, listen, y'all coming down there? Because when one person, like your family started moving down there, so you're just like, yeah, I'm going to. So just,
Yeah.
I would just imagine that new people moving down is doing the same thing. And then they're like, Vicky did this for us, this, that, and the other,
Right.
right?
Right.
All right, so give us the cons. So give us the not so sexy.
The not so
part
sexy.
of yeah, give us the not so sexy.
The not so sexy. The not so sexy is, again, you do not get paid until that check clears, right? Until you close and you're not even at the closing table, until the check is in your account. And a lot of young people don't understand that. So it is a constant grind all day, every day. Because if you don't work, you don't get paid. It's not like you show up to the office at 9 to 5 and no matter what, you're gonna have that check.
Because you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
Right.
Even
You're
though
an
you may be under umbrella of a real estate agent or a real estate broker, you're still an entrepreneur.
Right.
It's your business.
It is your business, yeah, and you have to motivate yourself because no one else is going to do it. It's a very competitive world, and no one else is going to do it. So, getting up in the morning when you don't feel like it, you don't want to. It's like
Making
I don't
those
have
phone
to,
calls.
but yes, I have to.
Yeah.
Right. You have a family to feed, so. Yeah.
Wow.
Are you on the road a lot, or do you work from home, go in the office? Just what's a typical day?
Typical day for me, and I like to go into the office because it motivates me. I don't have to, but I
Okay.
do. It motivates me. It keeps me accountable to my schedule. Because if you're home, it's like, ooh, chase the rabbit. Let's do
Right.
some laundry. Let's do some things.
Right.
Watch
Right.
TV. Distractions, absolutely. So so I go into the office. If I have buyers, if I'm working with buyers, I'm setting up showings, going out to show them homes. And now that's the other thing, the other downside when you're not really a downside. When you're in a big city like Charlotte, you can be on the road 3-4 hours a day showing homes.
Oh, okay.
Whereas in Waterbury, it's like 15 minutes here, 15
Right,
minutes there, I'm
right.
done. So that was
Yeah.
an adjustment for me.
Yeah.
And then, you have clients, they may want to buy a house today, they change their mind tomorrow. So where you think you're coming up with this $10,000 check, guess what? They decided today they're not
They don't want
closing.
it. Okay.
So, and then there are other things. You go through home inspections, you go through things like that, and the property has so much damage that people back out.
Right.
So you might be thinking in your mind you're getting paid this month, and
and it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
And you just said something. You think it in your mind. You're getting paid this
Right.
month, so
Right.
it can be just like you just said. I don't get a check this month because I didn't close a house.
Right.
You know, and you can have you can plan all day long, but like you said, your clients can say, you know, I decided not to,
Right.
or we're gonna wait, or you know, whatever the process is. Because I know with buying a house, you're going through the credit process. Talk about that, going through the credit process. Now, is there something else that you do besides just showing them houses, and then if they say yes, you go forward? How do you prepare them? You know,
You only
how do
take $1
you-
million
question.
offers, right?
Right,
No.
I wish.
right.
I wish,
This
right?
is
Only $1 million.
Yeah, those are far
TV,
few in between.
TV mine.
Right,
Only $1
right.
million
HGTV
offers.
mine. I tell people all the time that is 80% untrue.
Right. That's like with hairdressers. They, we get a lot of YouTube students
absolutely.
that come in
Yeah.
and they'll go, "Well, I saw on YouTube."
It's like,
So
no.
it's like right there, HGTV.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good question. With pre-approvals, so many people are so afraid to go get pre-approved for a loan. But how do you know if you can buy a home? How do you know what you're qualified for?
Right.
And you can't move forward without doing that. And so I tell people, like, I think my credit is bad. Well, if it's bad, guess what? Pulling your credit one more time is not going to
Not gonna
hurt it.
mess it up.
How do we know how we're going to get there if we don't start somewhere?
Right.
Somewhere. We have to start somewhere. So yes, getting pre-approved. I work with multiple lenders, and actually my sister just got her mortgage lending license.
Oh,
So now
nice.
we're partnering together to
Oh,
to
that's
get
nice.
because looking at our community, I think that to me is something that's missing for me. I do sell a lot of real estate in Charlotte, but when I was home, I was actually selling real estate to people in our community, right?
Okay.
People that need we need to
Build it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bring it back.
And so that's something that we're getting back to, going back into the communities and getting people pre-approved, showing them what it looks like. Not even if you're not ready today, the mortgage company's not going to tell you no, right?
Right.
They're going to tell you need to do X, Y, Z to get ready. And if you're serious, you'll do it.
Do what you have to do.
Right. And so that's probably the hardest part, is getting people to that point because they're so afraid.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
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 That's
Right.
nice. That's nice that your sister is involved too, and you build that stepping block.
Right.
Even, hopefully we can get a Black-owned real estate
Like a
agency.
one-stop shop.
So then, we go to you, go to your sister, and then whatever the next step is, that next person, not taking from anybody else, but we got to take care of ourselves
Exactly.
also.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
At all. Like 90% of millionaires are 90% of millionaires get there through owning real estate, right? So how do we build the wealth gap in our community?
Right.
We don't start getting in the game.
We
And,
have to.
Yeah, we
Everybody
have
got to get
there.
involved
And
some
we
way.
think because, like you said, people are afraid.
It's education.
Education, absolutely, education.
Definitely the credit thing, because people will
Yes.
say that all the time.
'Cause so
I
many
could be,
people don't look
they
at
don't,
their
but they don't
credit.
even think about it. What
Right.
Vicky said was right. I don't want to run my credit because it's gonna mess up my credit. Well, you don't even do the research. You just hear word of mouth.
Right.
Educate yourself before you say that, though.
Right. And if your credit is bad, we can't fix it. until
Right.
We know
You
where
haven't
are.
even
have
looked
to
at it
start
in
somewhere.
years, right,
And I've been
right.
there. I've had to repair my
too.
credit, right?
Me
I've had to
too.
be.
Me
and it
three.
was a rough road. It was rough.
Listen,
Yeah.
me
So-
three. Yes.
Yeah, but it was, listen, I'm serious about this. I'm going to buy this house. This is what
What you
this
gotta
loan
do.
officer told me I
Yeah.
have to do, X, Y, Z. It may take 3 months. It may take 6 months. But if that's something
Gotta
that
work
you
towards
really
it.
want to do, you got to work, right? You got to work towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to set some things aside. You got to sacrifice some things and
you
make
gotta
it happen.
listen. Ramen noodles.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I joked about the $1 million house thing, but is there a price range, or do you, I come to you saying I want a house for 250, but I come back, my credit can only go 100,000, whatever. You take whatever level, or is there, I've seen people say no, they won't take nobody less than 500,000.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm not that person,
Yeah.
so
I'm not that girl. I'll sell from $100,000 to
Okay.
$50,000 to
Okay.
$1.5 million. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't discriminate at
or
all.
5 million. We going way up.
Exactly,
Like,
and I'm
we
going to
going way
treat that same person that's purchasing
same
at
way.
100,000 the
Yes.
same way I'm going to treat that $1
Yes.
million client.
As
and
you
I-
should,
and you
yes.
you will find a lot of real estate agents that have that mentality that will never be me ever.
Okay.
Ever.
And that's because of where we come from.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you just said it. The community is not aware
Right.
of their ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not aware of their ability. And when you have somebody that's on your side that, is thinking, you know what, listen, let's just sit down. That you don't know. Don't be
Right.
scared.
Yeah.
I
I
got you.
Know
I got
I
your
got
back.
you.
Yeah, I
Period,
got you.
right?
Yeah.
I got you. This is where I come from. I come from humble beginnings.
Right.
And everybody does, because nobody comes. I should.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
no. Technically, nobody's born a millionaire.
Right.
You know,
Right.
your parents might be when you were born, but you're not born a millionaire.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And even still, being a millionaire, why? No, you just want to live.
Right.
And live with peace and know that you can afford the house. You know what I mean? And leave it for your family and things like that. And now, do you find the difference between our culture and their culture when it comes to purchasing, when it comes to their goal in the end, like their end goal? Do you feel, or have you seen more of us? And I know in the Charlotte area, now we went to Charlotte a couple years ago for vacation, and my description of it is it was electric. You know what I'm saying? Like you can see it was built up. You can see that they're building up. You can see it was money. You know what I mean?
Growing,
like growing and everything. And one of my girlfriends that's there, she's been there 20-something years now. 20-something. Her youngest son is over 20. So yeah, she's been there that long. And so she was telling me, girl, none of this was here before. So she rode me around and took me into some condos and things like that. Now the condos were beautiful at $400,000.
Absolutely.
And you know the difference between Waterbury, right?
Right.
And when you go outside of Waterbury, we're used to seeing stuff at 25,000.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Like 75,000.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my cat.
Exactly. 75, you know.
Yeah.
If you get a 3-family house, you can get one for less than 200,000 and all of that, right? And so she brought me into these condos, and I'm not a glitz and glamour girl. So I don't get impressed easy, you know what I
Same.
mean? So yes, it was great, you know, because it was all brand new, but it had 4 floors to go. I said, listen, we getting older now.
What are we going to do with this?
Right.
What am I going to do with this
I said,
space?
and my neighbor, we had we're used to grass.
Right.
You know, that was the other thing too. It's like, why would I go into a condo when I'm used to grass?
Right.
Like to go outside in the back. You know what I mean? Simple stuff, right? But when you're talking to people that they want to, but they don't know they can. And then when you give them, listen, these are the options that you can do, you know, from a fixer-upper, you know, giving them that option too, because that might be more affordable, right? And then to me, that makes sense because it's like, oh, now I can make it my way, my own, you know? How has the climate changed with the clients that are looking for specifics, and they're still building so many houses, and down in that area they have more land than they do up here, it seems like. But what are you doing, or what do you see? I don't know, I can't get to the question. What do you
We're going to get to the question. Right. We're going to get to this question.
What do you see? What has changed since leaving from here to going down there, in the climate of the different clients that you see in their culture and our culture, meaning the goal that they have when they come to see you? And then are they excited? Because what I notice also, there's a lot of us down there. And you don't have to look for us. I say in the New England area, you got to look for us. Down there, you don't have to look for us.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And what I love is they're very hospitable, everybody, white, black, and indifferent, right? But there is still a culture difference.
Right.
So what is that? Have you seen a difference in the culture and how they look and why they're looking and what their goals are?
You mean culture-wise as far as like economically, or like you're saying just from
black and white.
Black and white, gotcha. That was where I was getting. That was okay,
black
yes,
and white.
Yes, and so that is really good. That's a really good question. And yes, and I have to say it is based on education, right? Sometimes we don't know better. Oftentimes we just don't. And so when you look at the
White.
I don't want white culture. Okay, when you look at white culture, they are more oftentimes more educated than we are, right?
Yeah.
And so they look at property, they look at real estate as assets. They look at it from a different point of view. We look at it and we hold on to it emotionally, right? Sometimes that's not the best thing for us, right?
Yeah.
So we may go in and say, and we have to, let's just own it. I'll own it. Materialism.
Oh.
So we may say, I went to the lender said, hey, you're qualified for $400,000. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy a $400,000 house, right? Because they're not taking into account your vacations. They're not taking into account the things you want to do with your family.
Or your bills.
So can you really afford that, right? No. So in the other cultures, they will say, "Hey, I'm qualified for 400, but I'm spending $200,000
Exactly.
because I want to maintain my lifestyle."
Yes.
And so for us, that's part of also the education that I bring to the table with talking to my clients. Like, you don't necessarily have to spend every dollar that the bank is lending you.
Right.
Do what's right for you. Do what's right for your pockets, and do what's right for your
That's
family.
awesome to
Yeah.
hear that you do that, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that it's being done enough. I'm not
Right.
saying that it's not. Maybe
Well,
it
it's
is.
not, yeah. And
That's
yeah.
great that you do that, because that is so important, because that is a major purchase that would change the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And where will you
Absolutely.
live
you
if
wanna
you don't
keep it.
have it? Like,
Right.
if I can't pay my mortgage, and I'm, like you said, I'm grandstanding because I got a $400,000 house. But guess what? I don't have no lights on, y'all.
Right,
Right.
I can't buy no
exactly.
food.
Right. My
It
cell
makes no
phone's turned
sense.
off. I can't get to.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Does your real estate agent, like, I know there's programs out there, and I've heard of different programs, first time buyers, like you said, educating the people on their credit.
Right.
Does your real estate agency offer things like that to people?
So those things are offered through the lender, and most of the
Okay.
lenders that I work with, yes, they do offer down payment assistance, and that's another thing that a lot of people in our community don't know. There are times you can buy a home with like almost a few $100s down, for almost
Right.
nothing down,
Right.
and a lot of people don't know that, right? And then we think about, we're sitting out here, the families are living. You have families living all over the place. What if you bought a 3-family home, right?
right.
And instead of paying $2,000 over here, mom's
Act
paying
like you
five,
like your
you
family
paying
a little
five,
bit.
dad's paying
Yes,
five, and let's
yes.
bring that money back to the community,
Yes.
and let's
Yes,
make some,
let's keep it in the
make some money.
community.
And you're
Yeah.
gaining. And there was a young lady I worked with a couple of years ago when I first got to Charlotte. She got pre-approved, bought a house, wasn't where she wanted to be, right? Not the greatest neighborhood. Luckily, she had her uncle working with her. Not the greatest neighborhood. So she kept that home for 2 years. They put some work into it, fixer-upper, right? We sold it a couple of months ago. She sold it for double what she bought it for.
Nice.
Bought the house that she wants now, right? And had $120,000 to put into the
Love
bank.
it.
So you don't always have to go out and buy a brand new. Put some
No.
money into it.
some money
Sweat
into it.
equity
Yeah,
into it.
yeah,
And make
absolutely.
money. So that's where I say we don't think from an economics point.
We don't
think from our
educate
heart.
ourselves,
Right.
like you said,
Yes,
unfortunately.
right. We want to look nice, but
Yeah.
we don't want to
But
build that
and
wealth.
I think that's,
Yeah.
like you said, back to education,
Yeah.
back to the way we grew up. If we grew up poor, and now you want to prove that, I'm not poor no more,
Right.
type of thing.
Been there.
I got, you know what I'm saying?
Been
I got
there.
this big old. I remember Eric and I bought our first house when we were 21 years old. 1920. No, we were 20.
20.
Right? I'll never forget it. I said, they gonna give us a house.
Are they crazy?
Yeah, right up Buck Hill. I said, they gonna. But we worked hard. We
Yeah.
saved money, and the shop.
That's
I was
right.
in the shop
Because
all
you kept
the
us
time.
kept us together.
Exactly, right? And I was making the most money at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and had no clue. But when we did, it wasn't about grandstanding. It was just about, oh, we can do this.
Right.
All right. Then we had our daughter. Then we had a cat and a dog and a picket fence and cars, and we had all of that.
Yeah.
We were only in that house maybe 7 years, maybe 5 to 7 years, because we had no clue. We knew how to pay a mortgage, but at the time, it was getting harder and harder.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We weren't delinquent. We weren't going through foreclosure, but we were scared.
Right. Right.
Right? And so someone told us, do bankruptcy. So we did bankruptcy, and we were only 24, 25 years old. And I'm like, we didn't understand it.
Right.
We
Yeah.
just
Right.
let somebody guide us, and we didn't even have to lose the house.
And you probably didn't have to do any of those, right?
We
yeah.
didn't, but
yeah.
we weren't losing the house. We just knew that it was getting harder to harder.
So before we
pay
lose
it.
it, let's do
Let's
what they
do it
said.
right. And sometimes you have to make that decision, right? You have to cut before you do lose it, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also education that we don't know. There's ways to save
Save
it as
it.
well.
Exactly.
Well, let me
And
tell
so,
you though, because we weren't delinquent, we didn't qualify for any of that saving.
Right.
But we're like,
But
listen,
You may have.
well, we weren't
Yeah.
guided right.
Right,
You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? And plus,
exactly.
we're young black.
And it's like, do this. Bankruptcy sounds good. Go do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This
And
is
then-
the easiest
Right.
way.
That's
And
the
then
easiest way
my-
for you. Not for us, but for
Yes.
you. Yeah.
And my
yeah.
mentality was, we only 25 years old. We
Right.
could do that. And then I would open the shop and everything too. So it was a whole lot going on
Yeah.
before I was 30 years old that I had no clue if had I had had I had the education
Right.
beforehand. You know what I mean? So that makes a big difference. And I'm glad that you said, you guys are as a family coming together to you're doing this piece, another person is getting a license for this piece, and another person is going to get a license for that piece. That's how those brokers start off.
Absolutely.
That's how those banks start off, right? And so when you're doing that and having that plan of, listen, we reaching back.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
We're reaching back and educating, and I'm glad we're doing this talk because this you can take, right?
Right.
And to have somebody just watch this.
That's it. Watch
You know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So that they can watch it on their own.
Yeah.
And then they can call you back and say, you know what? Okay, yeah, I think I'm ready.
Right.
Or yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm glad we're having this talk. That's
Yeah.
why I said it's gonna be organic and this, that, and other, because I'm all excited. I'm really excited right now.
And I can sit here and talk to you about real
All
estate
day,
all day,
right?
right? Right. But yeah, the biggest thing for me, as you said, is just getting back into that education and
Yeah.
educating our community, because there's so many ways. And even if you want to get into investing, start with your personal portfolio. Buy a home with no money down, live in it for 2 years, fix it up, rent it out, buy your next
Exactly.
property, right?
That's what
There's
my
so
daughter's
much we
doing
can do.
now.
I love it. I love it. And so, but we don't know that, right?
Right.
You don't know what you don't know. And so that's my purpose. I need to come back into my purpose, because I can sell to people that have money all day.
All day.
Right.
That's not,
'Cause it's
That's
easy.
not fixing what our issue is. And
Right.
it's not giving me the satisfaction and the joy, exactly, of what I used to do. So,
Our co-op, and I'll tell you guys about that another time, but our motto is bringing unity in our community.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Because you know the word unity is in community, right?
Yeah.
Bringing unity in our community, and we are responsible. I've been saying this. I'm on this soapbox that we're responsible for bringing it back to how it was when we were younger.
And you can't-
And it may
yeah.
not come back exactly like that, but still being the catalyst
Right.
or being a part of bringing that back, because it's going to take the whole community.
And you can't get
do
to a
that.
point where it's like, I don't need to
quit.
do that. I
Right.
quit and I
Yeah,
walk
yeah,
away.
Yeah.
No.
We can't quit.
Right.
Because then if that's the case, this is the reason why our neighborhoods look like they do.
Oh
Absolutely.
my goodness! Don't
Absolutely.
start me
I know
on
when
that.
you-
Don't
start
yeah,
me
on my
on
drive
that.
yesterday, I was like, where's my
Yes.
city?
Yes.
My city that I
Oh
grew
my
up in, and
goodness.
walked from downtown and took the bus and came across. Yeah, it's like, what is going on?
It's
What
so-
is going
yeah.
on?
sad.
I
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
people all the time and said, you know, Waterbury is not what it's depicted to be right now. And I said, and if you watch the news and you keep watching the news, you'll be programmed to think.
Right.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? You'll be,
Absolutely.
I had a conversation with somebody that her husband says, I don't want you going to Waterbury. Mind you, they were born and raised here. I don't want you to go to Waterbury, da-da-da. And she kept talking. And when it was done, I said, have you ever been hurt in Waterbury?
right.
Because you come to Waterbury to grocery shop.
Things
Exactly.
happen everywhere. Things
Right,
happen
right. No
everywhere.
matter what.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, Charlotte is on some
Yeah.
parts of Charlotte is on
You
the
see
first
what I'm
48,
saying?
right? So
Right.
it
Come
is
on now.
everywhere.
Exactly.
So,
Things happen
You
everywhere.
can't be afraid, you
Yeah.
know. But we as people, we're not, because you know we get toe up from everybody.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, it does look bad driving around
does.
Waterbury, and
It's-
I'll be
it's
the
a
first
sad-
one to
yeah,
say it
it
because
looks
I
bad,
live
but
here.
it makes. I'm not one to like, oh my God, I don't want to go back to Waterbury. It's
Yeah,
like,
or I'm
no,
afraid
it makes
to go
me
somewhere.
sad,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It makes me sad
Yeah.
to see it.
Yes.
And so it's like, there's got to be a way. There's
Right,
got to be a way.
and
Yeah.
that's our purpose right now with the
Yeah.
co-op,
Right.
Because we don't have a grocery store in the North End, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
people need to take
And I
pride
didn't even
where they live.
recognize that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So-
they would need to take pride in it. And so, you know, someone was asking, you know, so what are you guys gonna do? You know, what is it? And I said, it's to really give people a foundation, and also have, you know, the food lines. There's food lines everywhere, right? Meaning shelters and everything like that. I said, but that's not empowering the people.
Right.
You
Have
know
a
what I'm
sense of
saying?
pride in what
like,
they have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not empowering, and I'm glad it's there. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we need to build something that's going to be sustainable and teach and educate. So when
Give 'em
we're-
jobs.
right? Exactly, jobs
Right.
and everything. And it's not a handout. It's
Right.
you become an owner.
Yeah.
Self-sufficient.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
you become
And they feel
self-sufficient.
so
Yeah.
good about themselves
Right.
when they're putting
Exactly.
into themselves.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
they roll up their sleeves, you know, and get in, because it doesn't cost them really much
Right.
to get in and to be a part of, and to just clean their own streets. We want to do all
Yeah.
of that too. And one of the things that we do,
I want to be on that committee.
Right.
I'm so tired.
Well, we can
oh
do
my
it.
goodness.
One of the other things that we're doing is we're knocking on doors, asking them, you know, doing a survey with them to ask them what would they like to see, and would they be a part of it, and all of that.
Yeah.
Because when we do a market study, that market study is going to come back and say this neighborhood's not going to support it. But we're knocking on the door, because see, they don't knock,
Right.
they don't
Of
know
course.
Vicky.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're knocking on the door to
Yeah.
introduce ourselves face to face.
And I actually literally physically talk to that person.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so that's what that's all about. And we're giving them packets of seeds. So if I give you a pack of seeds of cucumbers, you can just grow those cucumbers.
Wow.
And listen, and you can eat, and those cucumbers will save your life.
Right. Feed yourself.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
feed
Yeah.
yourself. And if it grow enough, you can sell to your neighbor.
Right.
You
Or
know what I
barter.
mean?
Get a
Or
little
barter,
trade,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You grow tomatoes, you grow
They did back in the day.
cucumbers, I grow lettuce. We
Yeah.
got salad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Where my
So-
crop just didn't do good. Do you got a tomato?
Right,
or a
exactly.
cucumber?
Exactly. You know, so that's the same thing that it sounds like you're saying is don't buy a one family house, especially if it's only you and your husband.
Right.
And your grandkids come and you just need an extra bedroom
Right.
for your grandkids,
Yeah.
right? Why would you buy a 6,000 square house or a 3,000 square
Right.
house? Your
Right.
3,000 square whatever.
You
know what I
huge
mean?
house.
Right. Just because,
Right,
right?
yeah.
When
right.
you can get a 3-family house
And live for free.
and live for
Yeah, let
free.
somebody
Yes.
else pay your mortgage. And you'll hear
mortgage.
so many people say, "Oh, I don't want to work. I don't want the responsibility."
I
What if
was
something
one of
goes
those people,
wrong?
though. I swear, my
get
son
it,
always
and I
says that
get
to
it.
me.
Yeah,
Mom,
yeah.
let's do this, and I'm like, oh, I don't want.
I'm scared.
I don't
Yeah,
want
'cause it's a fear, right? 'Cause
And
we
he's
don't know
like,
what's on
come
the other
on,
side.
and he says the same thing you're
Yeah.
saying. You're letting them beat you to the punch.
Yeah.
This is what people are doing.
They are taking every single and Charlotte right now is going through gentrification so bad. It's terrible. But the investors are coming in and they're
swooping
taking
up.
they're swooping
And
they're-
Waterbury,
exactly. They're here too. They're here
Yeah.
too.
They
So if
really
we
are.
could do that and put the entire family in a house and we're not
Yeah.
paying, you're gonna
And
listen.
everybody needs
you're
somewhere
paying
to
a
live,
mortgage
so
one
it's
way
like,
or another.
You're
gonna pay a
right?
mortgage.
You're
Yeah.
paying a mortgage,
Yep.
this is whether it's yours or it's your landlord. So you're gonna
Right.
pay a mortgage
Right.
one way or
Right.
another. So why not go in and put our money together? That's another thing that we have to work on
Yes,
is
pulling
pulling that
our
money,
money
together,
together,
because
yes.
they think money first, they think assets first, and that's where we're missing out.
Yeah,
That is where we are missing
And then the
out.
other thing too for us as a people is if we all say we're putting our money together, right? There's somebody in that group that's gonna feel like I'm putting $100 in, but Sean only has 10.
Right.
Tracy only has
Right.
20. And I put the $100 in, as opposed to, you know what? Now
We're
we
doing
got
this
100
together.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We're
We've
doing
got
it
this
together.
together. You're going to get the rate of return on what
Yeah.
you put in. She's going to get the rate, but we're
Yeah.
doing this.
They
right?
don't understand that.
We
Right.
stay stuck there. We stay
stuck.
stuck there
Yeah.
too often.
Yeah.
Too often.
It's like I put the most. Yes, that means your percentage is
Right,
higher
right.
than mine. But guess
Right.
what? If it's power in numbers.
Yeah.
It's power in numbers, and it doesn't make sense for you to put $100 in,
Right.
and we sitting here like no, because I don't have $100.
Right.
Or you say if you don't have $100, I'm not down with you.
Right, and we're never
Right.
going to get anywhere with that
Never.
mentality.
We're
Yeah,
never going to get
Yeah.
anywhere. Or even the sweat equity piece. If I don't have
Right.
you know
What
I'm
can
saying?
I do?
Maybe
But
I can paint
what
some
can I
walls.
do?
Right,
Yes.
pull up some carpets.
Yes.
Right, maybe I can do that.
I can come
So,
paint, like you said, paint a wall,
Yeah.
or
fix a
something.
faucet,
Yeah.
clean the
yeah.
backyard,
Right.
anything that I could
and
offer.
buy one house, that 3-family house, we buy as a group or
Yeah.
a company, start a company,
Right.
buy as a group, right? We all pulling our sleeves up. We going in there, we cleaning it up, and you know, and our husbands come in there because you know they know all of that stuff,
Right.
right? They come in, they do all of that, and then
Not our
we're done.
husbands, anybody.
Well, anybody, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm not doubting the husbands. I'm just
I'm
saying,
just
we
saying
as
the
women
men
can do it
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
No, but I'm just saying as the men, as you know, as a family unit.
Right,
period.
right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? As a family unit, no matter, even if a 2-year-old, because
Yeah,
the
our
others,
children, our
And that's a
grandchildren,
good
whatever,
point,
get them
right.
started.
Yeah,
the
and
Get
that's-
them
2-year-old
started young.
can put stuff in the garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They can
Yeah.
do a lot. Even
They
with my grandson, I talk to him. He knows what equity is, right? He
Oh,
knows
see,
what buying a
there you
house
go.
is. He knows what investments are. He knows that eventually he is
Yeah.
going to be rolling up his sleeves
Exactly.
because if you can punch a clock, you can invest in real estate
Absolutely.
and make your money that way too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I bought my grandchildren a book. I told Sean I gotta remember the title of it. It's about children investing, which is good too. I
Yeah.
thought about that. I said, you know what? They got to start somewhere.
They
So why
have
not
to.
start right here?
Yeah.
With grandma. Read
we
this
already
book and let's
laid,
get it
right?
going.
We sacrificed already. We struggle now. So why do they have to take them to the next
Exactly.
level? The next
Exactly.
level. So.
And taking them to the next level doesn't mean buying everything for them. It's showing them how we struggled. This is what we did, and we learned it on our own. You don't have to learn it on your own.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is what mommy did. This is what daddy did. This, you know, and showing them like family. You go to family first.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Family
Right.
comes together no matter what. So I don't care how mad you are at your sisters or whatever. When it comes down to business, Here's my sister.
Right, and you brought up a great point. Not just giving it to them, let them know what the power
Work
of a
for
dollar
it.
is. Right,
Exactly.
you need to
Gotta work for
understand
it.
what this costs and how
Exactly.
what it took me to get there to get it. So yes,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did that with my kids in the shop. You
Sweep
the
the floor,
receptionist,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Answer the phone. Shai was answering the phone at 12
I
years
remember.
old.
She
You
was
know what I
working,
mean?
right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Exactly. So so that is one of the things that like you said, we're not educated, and we're so far behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
But still, we can still move in ways where each one teach one. And if it's just one family at a time,
One
then
family
it's
at a
one
time,
family
yep.
at a time.
And just stop allowing ourselves to be tricked to say
right.
we shouldn't own.
Bamboozled.
We shouldn't own. I don't want to own.
It's too
Something's
much.
gonna go
You can't
wrong.
do
It's
it.
too
Right.
wrong. Yeah, I
You
can't
can't trust
own
family.
this.
People
Right.
say that. You can't
Yeah.
trust family.
Yes.
You can't trust friends. You got to do it by
You got
yourself.
to do it with the right people now.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
But there are
Yeah.
people out there that
You
that
can
are
do it
worth
with, right.
making the sacrifice. and doing
making
it.
a
Right.
sacrifice with. That's awesome. Man, I'm loving this conversation.
Yes.
We can just keep going.
Wait, one thing I wanted to just step back to is you getting into the real estate business, you taking that test. Talk about that struggle because I think that's something we don't touch upon, and it just doesn't happen.
Yes.
Not everybody. Like I've talked to people, men and women, who have taken that test, and some of them aced it, and others said it was so hard. So. Talk about that
Right.
journey, that education, that testing, that end result.
The end result. So for me, I took the course when I was still in Connecticut. I think I was 20 years old when we bought our first house. So I took the course. I was already working for a mortgage company, and I think that helped me. So
Okay.
I won't say
understood
that
the
it was
language.
easy, right? I understood the lingo, so I was able to take it and pass it the first time. And I'm also a really good test taker. That's just my my thing. You may not remember it after, but I'm a good test taker. So I passed it the first time. But yes, people don't pass it. And another thing about real estate is people don't understand is 87% of people fail in the first 2 years.
Okay.
87%. So 13% of the people survive in that career after 2 years. So it's tough.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
tough. You have to think it could take 6 months before you even see a dollar because you have to build clientele. You got to get them pre-approved. You got to get them out to the homes. It's
Yes.
a lot. So is it lucrative and can you make a lot of money? Yes. But there is that other side, the testing.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep doing that every 2 years. You have to keep your post-op, your education.
Oh,
you have
see?
you have to keep your
Okay.
licensing
Oh, I
up.
didn't know that.
That's
Me
not
neither.
it's $2,000 off the cuff just to get your licensing, your multiple listing service. Yeah, so
See?
there's a lot of investment up front before you even start to see anything pay off.
income.
Any income.
That's
I
something.
hope they heard that.
Right.
Yeah.
Say that again.
$2,000 right off the cuff. Yeah, so
Yeah.
be prepared for that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's something you said that makes me think too. One of my niece's girlfriends became a real estate agent, and she's like, "Oh, my girlfriend's a real estate agent. If you're looking for a house," and the first thing you think is what you just said. Oh, she's new. She doesn't know the ropes. So sometimes we also, on the other side, gotta feel confident,
Right.
and give somebody a chance.
Right.
She's a young real estate agent. She's just coming up. Why would I not allow her a chance
Right.
to show me a house, talk to me about it, see what she's working with? She got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
You know?
Now, I will say with a new agent, like even the young agents that come up that I'm training, because I train them, I'm the sales trainer on my team as well.
Oh.
So I train the new agents that come in. But I tell them, you have to learn somewhere, right?
Right.
So use your team. Hey, I'm
Can
new.
I shadow you?
Right, exactly. I work with someone. I have someone that mentors me. I have a mentor that can mentor me throughout the transaction. So don't short yourself.
Right.
And go out there, like you said, they have to learn somewhere. You have to learn. You have to start somewhere.
So you said it from the very beginning. At the beginning of this, you interviewed,
Right.
teams, and so getting that to even have that wherewithal to even think that way, as opposed to I got my license, I'm gonna just
Right,
go out
I've been
here.
doing this for 10 years. I am not working with anybody. Yeah,
I could just
so-
go out there.
Yeah.
What's her name? I can't think of her name right this second. But there's a young lady that I follow, and she does real estate. She started off in Louisiana. She's from Louisiana, and I'll send you her information. I don't remember her name right now. But anyway, one of the things that she said was she didn't have anybody to mentor her. And she got her license. She was homeless when she got her license.
Wow.
She was homeless.
Wow.
When she
She
got
wanted
her
it.
license. She wanted
She
it.
wanted it.
I don't even
Yeah.
and how did she do it? I want to say when she did her taxes, she took her tax money and bought her first house at less than $5,000.
Invested in herself.
Yep. And got her license and did all of that, right? So when you say it takes about $2,000 to, they were homeless. She said I was living under a bridge.
Wow.
Right? And what she does is build communities. So she's literally, that's how she built everything that she's doing now. Now it's, big and strong, but the way she did it was, I knocked on doors. She says, nobody showed me how, so I just knocked on the door. She said, I rode around places where they had, for sale sign, like a written for sale sign.
Like for sale by owner.
Yeah, for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And she said, and I knocked on the door and I just introduced myself and asked them, you don't have anybody to sell your house? And she says, so I built a rapport with people.
She was out there grinding.
Relationships.
Yeah.
But she was out there grinding,
Yeah.
right? And she says, and I had no money to feed my kids. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about that, all that you're saying, like you said, the HGTV and all of that will make it seem like it's so glitz and glamorous and all that. But when you think of a story like that and how you're saying to people, listen, these are the upfronts, right? And if you don't have it in you to grind, don't even do it.
It is not.
Don't even do it.
But I think anything you fight for, anything you want to fight for, you have to have passion.
Right.
In this job, you really have to have passion and be a people person.
Correct.
If
Right.
nothing else.
Yes.
Like this wouldn't be something I could see myself doing, because knocking on doors and just talking to people, I find hard to do.
Right.
So you really have to be, like Sean said, you're just a people person. You gravitate toward people. You're able to talk to people. So that has to definitely be a plus.
It has to be a plus, but you also, again, take it back to education, because real estate to me is not selling homes. You have to know people. You have to be able to work with people. You have to know the ins and outs of what their needs are, right? So you have to keep continually educating yourself. It's not about me on the phone. It's about the person on the other side. So I had to go in and I literally took a personality course to learn how to deal with people in their psyche.
Different personalities.
Correct. Because if you don't know so I can talk to you in 5 minutes and I know what your personality is.
Okay.
So if I don't know the person on the other end of the phone, I can't direct you.
Right.
I can't help you, and I can't help you with your greatest asset. I can't do that. So you have to constantly invest in your education and dealing with people.
self-development.
Right. And if you can't negotiate and you can't work on that person's behalf, you can forget it, because
Yeah.
you're not going to put me in front of your home purchase, and I can't go out and negotiate on your behalf. And I'm just like, Sean, just take it.
Right.
Just pay them what they're looking for. Don't get those repairs,
Yeah,
Sean. Just
yeah.
buy the house and fix it yourself. So you need someone that's going to negotiate on your
Yeah.
behalf. You don't have to be, strong arming people, but you have to be able to negotiate. And so I want my clients to be satisfied when they
Yeah.
walk away from
Talk
me.
with
so.
confidence.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That
and
too.
know and that comes with education again, is knowing that if this particular thing is not repaired, you know what I mean? Like knowing, okay, listen, this, and this
Right.
needs to be repaired. Now we can negotiate the sale by saying, if it's not repaired and you can get someone to repair this or whatever, then we can knock another $10,000
Right.
off.
And if you
just
don't,
from that.
my client's going to walk. Because
Exactly.
I'm not attached to the paycheck. That's one thing I had to learn, is not to be attached to the paycheck,
Okay.
right? Because that's what happened when I bought my house. The person was attached to the paycheck. They didn't care about my inspection. So in a week, I'm downstairs and my basement's flooded. Again, I say that all the time, because I can sit there and guide you all the way through that process and not point out things that I know will be an issue for you down the line. That's not working from a good place.
No,
So
not at
you
all.
can't be attached to the
And
paycheck.
karma will come back at you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, that comes with faith and
Right.
everything like that. So karma will come back at you. So if you do it wrong, it's gonna come back to you wrong.
Right, and on the flip side too, the good stuff comes back to you, right?
Yes,
You're blessed
yes.
because when you work with one person, typically that'll bring you 7 more people,
Absolutely,
right?
right.
So I want you to walk away satisfied, so you can tell the
Yeah.
next 7
Scream
people.
my name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, go
Scream my
Yeah,
name.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
called customer experience, right?
It's customer experience, for
at
sure.
anything that you do, especially if you work for yourself,
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because in that goes across the board, no matter what sector you're in.
Right.
You are your
know?
brand. You
You
are
are
the
your
brand.
brand.
And guess
Yeah.
what? You can't hide behind anything
Yeah.
else.
You got to sell
You
yourself.
mess it up?
Listen,
You got to sell yourself.
I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue, but I knew that if you treat people right, they'll treat you right.
Right.
That's simple. I mean, basic,
Simple. And it's unbelievable, but people have a hard time understanding
Yeah.
that. And it's
Yeah.
like,
They tend to forget that.
Right.
They do. Customer service is big.
It is.
Yeah.
And
It's
if you
big.
don't treat me right, you turn me off. So why would I tell Sean, people go to Sean, get her hair done.
Right.
Why would I say go see Vicky to buy a house? You know,
Or
I
like
didn't
you
have
come
a good
to me,
rapport.
right? Or you come to me with bad credit, you can't buy today, so I'm just going to dismiss you.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of, Sean, I'm going to call you every single month, and guess what? I'm going to hold you accountable because you told me you were going to
Right.
pay X,
Right.
Y, Z. Where are we? It's March. Where are we?
Yeah.
You know, so
Coaching.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
And also too, that it's empowering.
Yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean?
building
That's
trust in
that's
that
like my
person
word,
because you know
right.
what, she cares.
Right.
Right.
She didn't have to.
Literally
She doesn't
didn't
have to
put
do
me away
this.
'cause my credit was
Exactly.
bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it takes 6 months to a year. You're saying I'm gonna call you every month, and you do.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now that person feels obligated
Right.
to, let me do this because she's gonna call me next
Right.
month. When
And she
call
told me,
next month-
right. You told me
Yeah.
we were going to work together to get
Yeah.
this house, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And that just makes somebody feel like, okay, it's not, it is attainable rather. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
is
she cares,
attainable.
so I gotta care. I
Exactly.
can't let her care more about me than I care about
Right.
myself.
Exactly.
So, and they wanted it. They came to you anyway, so you know that they wanted it. But I do think a lot of people are afraid of their credit, and
They
to hear you
are.
say that is very important.
And there's so many people that don't realize it's easier to buy a house than it is to
Then
buy a
it's
car.
not.
Like it is.
Yeah.
And they have credit. A lot of people, their credit is ready. They just don't know. It's
They
just
don't
a
know.
matter of
Yeah.
education.
Yeah,
It's,
they're
and there may be
afraid.
like one or two tweaks. Maybe you don't have enough credit, right? Some people don't have enough, but you don't know until you pull that
Right.
score. And our people are so afraid,
Yeah.
so afraid of that. I don't want to touch my credit, or they're, they may be a little embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. Listen,
Yeah.
because you don't get it. You can't get it
Listen.
unless you ask for it, right?
Man.
And so you have to be vulnerable at some point, and if that's what you really want, let's do it. Let's open up these books and take a
Exactly.
look at this credit and get it
Yeah,
fixed.
like you
So-
said, you may be approved 250,000, but when it comes down to it, after we sit and look at the numbers, maybe you need to only go 150.
Right.
Right.
Let's start
Exactly.
here,
And then
Right.
that's
and
the
then work
question,
your
too.
way
It's like,
up.
okay, think about it as rent, right? How much rent do you want to pay?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If $1,000 is too much for you for rent, then we don't need to look for a
Right.
mortgage just
More
because
than-
you're
right.
qualified for this.
Right.
Let's look
Exactly.
for
And that's
a
what I
house that's
tell-
going to be where your mortgage is going to be less than that
Right.
$1,000 because
Right.
you don't want to pay $1,000.
So I tell my buyers that you come to me with a $400,000 pre-approval. Did you ask your lender what the payment is?
Right.
Right.
That's the most
That's the
important
most
part.
important.
Right. So your payment may only put you at 200,000 or 250.
Right.
So go back and ask that lender what your payment is. And most of the time they will come back and be like, I want to be around 300 instead of 400. 'cause
Yeah.
That's
'Cause
the
the
most,
banks-
that's important.
The banks make more money when you foreclose.
Right. Right.
The banks make more money, so they expect, and then when it comes to us with redlining and all of that extra stuff,
That'll be a whole day and a whole nother conversation.
right? Listen, we're gonna have to have another
Right.
one.
Another conversation.
How about
yes.
Okay, so your mortgage is like Sean was just saying. Say I wanted a $1,500 mortgage. Is it standard now for them to roll in your mortgage, your insurance, your
Right,
taxes,
right.
or is that something like I don't know that I'm a first-time home
Right.
buyer. I don't know that I can do this. Do they automatically do that? Which
That's a
I think
great-
is the
great question.
greatest
Yeah.
thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As they go, the CHFA and the FHA.
Yeah, put
FHA,
everything under
right,
one umbrella
right.
because when you start separating it, now I got to pay the
Escrowed in.
taxes
Right.
and I got to pay
Your homeowner's insurance, and if you live in an HOA, you got to pay the HOA fee. So yes, some lending programs, FHA, they will require that they escrow your taxes and your
Okay.
homeowner's insurance.
Good.
Now, if you get into like conventional loans, they're a little more lenient. You can choose to pay your own. I don't know why anyone would
Would,
want
right,
to because
right,
it's better
right.
to just pay it,
Everything
monthly
once,
because they're not
yeah.
charging you anything on top of that. They're just
right.
escrowing it for you and paying for you. But
yes.
when you look at the VA, most of the government-backed loans require you
Okay.
to escrow. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice,
Yeah, that's
nice.
that's a big thing. That's a
and-
big thing.
right? And I'm glad you said that. So make it clear. So if I'm going through a conventional loan and I ask that question and they go no, can you request it?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's the
Yeah.
question,
And
yeah.
I always recommend it. I
Yeah.
always recommend it for my buyers. So
Because it's better.
it's
to
out of
have
sight,
it all
out of
in-
mind,
set-
all in one
yeah,
bill.
set
You're
it-
done.
set
Let
it
the
and
bank do
forget
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have
exactly. Exactly.
Didn't they have the conventional and then you have the flex where your mortgage can change
Like
at
the
any-
adjustable rate
yeah,
mortgage?
Why would people do that one?
Well, actually,
I know
right
it's out
now,
there, but is it better? Is it
it's
monetarily? Is it better or?
It depends.
I think it's a risk.
It depends.
I don't know,
it
but tell
absolutely
me.
is a risk. Right now with the rates being higher, right? You may be able to get an adjustable rate loan for 2% less than what the rates are running right now, and then in 2 years you'll refinance. Because if you don't, that's when that adjustable. So it's usually like a flat rate for 2 years, and
Okay.
then the
It could
rate
change.
can change. I don't recommend it because it sounds like 2%, but that could be $300-$400 on your
Okay.
mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend it. However, if it's a point where you're trying to qualify for something and you need a lower rate, you can do that, and then in 2 years refinance.
And then,
Okay.
but you got to remember 2 years is up.
Exactly, and that's why I don't
You know
recommend
what
it
I mean?
because people will
we-
forget. Yeah, they'll forget.
If you remember the 2 years, and then because I know someone that happened to when they got their bill in and it was a higher rate, and so that mortgage payment was much more than
Right, and a lot
so
of people see that 2% on the adjustable, but they don't understand 2% can be $400 or $500, $600. That's a lot of money.
Right.
That's
And
why I brought it
remember
up.
them
Somebody I work
calling
with
to
happened
say,
that, and they lost their house.
What's going on with my mortgage? And then they said you had to flex, and they didn't understand that that's what they signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't understand
Flat
it.
rate. That way you know what it is. It is what it is. Yeah.
For 30 years.
For 30
right?
years,
Right,
exactly.
right.
And if the rates
Look,
go
and chop
down,
that down if you
refinance
can.
it.
Make extra payments if you can.
So-
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. And so the other question is, when, say for instance, just in these last couple of years, right? So if you bought your house 4 years ago, the equity in that right now must be high because right now the houses are inflated, right?
Right.
Tell me if I'm saying the right language.
Right.
I think I know what I'm talking about to a certain
Just a
extent.
little bit,
but,
right? Yeah.
Correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong. And so would you suggest someone to take the equity out knowing that it may crash?
Take it out of there. Take it out now.
Take it out now?
The market right now is actually like leveling off.
Okay.
Now, 2 years ago, the market was crazy. It was 2.9%. Rates were 2.9%. So people were just buying and selling homes just because. Like, I can make the move. I can buy a bigger house. I can afford it now. Right now, the market is starting to level off. So prices are not as inflated anymore. At least in Charlotte. I should speak that because markets are different.
Right.
All different cities are different. But in Charlotte, it's starting to level off. And even people are like, "Oh my God, 6% is so high." 6% is not high. It's just back to where the
it
rates
used to
were
be.
for 20-something
Yeah,
years, right?
yeah.
And we won't see 2.93% rates again unless we have another catastrophe. We don't want that. We don't want COVID again, right? We don't want it.
Right.
So now I went off on a tangent. I
That's
forgot
all
your
right.
question.
No,
What was your
you good.
question?
No, I was asking, would you suggest if somebody came to you and said, "Listen, I got all this equity in my house and I don't want to lose it."
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's going to level out. So that means the prices for the houses will come
Deflate.
down
Yeah.
and deflate,
Yeah.
right? And then I remember in 2008 where people were upside down. I remember
was
that,
one of them.
right? And so when people are upside down, to prevent that, would you suggest that somebody? So say for instance, if I bought a house at $200,000, now my house is worth $400,000, but not take all the equity out.
Right.
But now I have $200,000 in equity. Would you suggest somebody to refinance and
Not unless you
take
needed the
equity?
money. Not unless
Okay.
you needed the money, because real estate cycles are cyclical, right? They go down every 8 to 10 years, and then they're going to come back. So if you're staying in your house for the next 8 to 10 years, you don't need to tap into the equity. It's going to eventually come back to where it should be. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you needed that money. Now, when it was
take it
upside
and
down,
buy
there's no
another
equity
house.
to take, right? When it was upside down in
Yeah.
2008, because I was there, there was no equity to take.
Right.
So you either stay there and wait till the market comes back up, or you're just sitting at a loss.
Yeah.
You're at a loss.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
But like you said, take it if you're gonna take it. Do something
Right,
with
if
it.
you-
Just
right,
don't
with it,
take
right.
it
Don't just
because
take it and put it in
because
the
it's
bank.
not an
Right.
extra $200,000. You're gonna have to
It's
pay
still-
it back anyway.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
it's
if,
true.
but
Yeah.
if you've been
yeah.
in your house long enough, and you refi, it may be a better opportunity
cash out.
To cash
Yeah.
out, and reinvest. Reinvest.
Or if
buy
you have
another.
credit card bills or
Yeah.
car notes or
Yeah.
things like that, and you want to
Yeah.
just put it into one, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You earn that equity.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
earned it. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
just gotta be smart about
you got to
it.
be
Yeah.
absolutely smart about it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Let me see.
This is a lot of
I
information.
know some real good
Good
gems.
information.
A crazy question, but okay. So you're from Connecticut. Are you able to still sell here, even though you're not?
No,
a
I let my
resident
license
here?
go here.
Oh,
I would have to
okay.
actually come back and get
And do it again.
relicensed. Yeah,
Okay,
it's so
so
expensive.
to
State to
maintain
state,
it?
right? And
Okay.
that's another of the debt thing. That those fees don't stop.
Okay.
You have to renew your license every single year. You have to pay for your post education every single year. And I'm a broker as well, so you have to pay for that education every
Okay.
single year. So it's expensive to keep it in multiple states.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're not selling there, so I'm not selling here, so it's not worth it.
It's not
Right.
worth it.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as a broker, because you said you're a broker now, right? All right. So those steps. Listen, I'm loving this, right? I didn't know.
Yeah.
As a broker, what's the difference? What's the benefits?
The benefits. So as a broker, you can run your own company, right? So as an agent, you have to work underneath a broker. You have to
Okay.
be licensed, and you have to hang your license with that broker.
Okay.
As a broker, I can step out and run my own business. I don't need anyone. You literally are the boss, like the top of the.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And so do you operate as a broker right now, or you're still under?
I operate as a broker under a team.
Okay.
But my goal right? We're gonna
Yeah,
manifest
yeah.
that. And we're
Yes,
gonna speak that
absolutely.
into. My goal
Uh-huh.
is to roll that into my own
Your
company
own.
next year,
Nice.
Okay.
and not work for
Nice.
anyone. Just independent. Vicky Copeland, real estate. I'm not sure what the name will be yet. We'll work on that, but
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Taking your
yes.
sister with you
To-
and
exactly.
anybody else,
Mhm,
yeah,
everyone
there
else,
you
and
go.
that is my ultimate goal is to have all
To
of
have
my.
that team.
I love the girls in my family, but they're all pretty much well off. Like the girl for some,
Doing
that's
whatever
what we
they're
do, right?
doing.
We're like the highest educated people, right? Black
Yeah.
females. We are my nephews. That is my dream to have all of my nephews work for me.
Nice.
The girls are going to
Nice.
be okay. They need it,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's ultimately what my goal is when I step out
Nice.
on my own.
That's
So.
nice.
So that means that you'll have everything under one roof, the education piece, and what I like about is it Neighborhood Housing Services? I think it's Neighborhood Housing Services that has or is it NIAC or what is that?
There's NACA.
NACA.
Okay,
that,
NACA.
The way NACA works. You know
NACA
what I'm
works
saying?
without. You mean the program where they don't necessarily go by credit. NACA doesn't go by credit. It's like a reinvestment. You go in, you have to do education, you do some community work, and they actually loan for you to buy your home.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, all right, maybe not that way, but still at the same
Maybe
time.
neighborhood housing you're talking about. Then. Education.
Where, say for instance, someone comes to you, like you have a segment or section where I come in. I just have a dream to buy a house. I have no clue what to do, all of that.
Right.
So have that step. Okay, before you start looking, we have to sit down and do all of these things. Right. Before we start looking.
Yeah.
That sounds like, to have that program available under.
Yeah. So
Your
for
umbrella?
me, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
For
yeah,
me
yeah.
as an agent, I won't take a buyer out.
anything.
We sit down first.
Okay.
Right? We're gonna sit at the table first. We're gonna start from beginning to end, from pulling your credit to what the home buying process actually looks like. A lot of people don't know that, right?
Right.
There's a lot of steps to that. So people, when your friends call you and say, hey, I want to go see this house, we're not just going to go see this house. We're
Right.
going to sit down and have this conversation
Right. Okay.
because, again, you're trusting me with one of the largest assets you're ever going to have in your life. We're going to set aside friendship, we're going to set aside family, and we're
Yeah.
going to talk
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
right?
I love that.
From
I
start
love
to
that.
finish. So I do consultations with people before we even get into.
That's so important.
And there's going to be times where, again, I'm not attached to the paycheck. There's going to be times where I feel like we're not a good fit, and we're not going to work together.
Have you ever had to do
I've
that?
had to do that.
That's
I had to fire a
family,
client a couple weeks
friends,
ago.
just
Both.
Yeah.
I had a client, young man. He was difficult,
Yeah.
and he would send me like 10 properties a day, and he's like, I need you to analyze these and tell me, because he was an investor. I need you to listen. My time is valuable. Your
Right.
time is valuable. That is not what a real estate agent does, and he didn't want to respect my time. He's like, I need you to be available when I need to go see a home.
Oh, wow.
I require you to give me 24 hours notice. Now, if there's something like a home comes on the market and my client needs to see it, I'll make a way to get out there. But he was demanding my time, and I'm like, my time is just as valuable as yours, and we are not a good fit. So we're not going to work together.
Yeah.
And you
And
have
I
to.
know he was shocked.
Right. Know your worth. You have to know your worth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't do that. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
treat each
yeah.
other that way.
Right,
So
right.
yeah. And he actually, he was shocked. Like, really? That's what you're gonna? That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know
Absolutely.
how much money I have? How much I'm
Listen,
trying to
and
do?
and guess what? It's not worth it. It's
It's
not my
not. It's
time
not.
and my misery. So
Yes,
no, we're not gonna do
yes,
that. Yeah.
yes.
So.
So, something else you just made me think of. How do you, me looking for a house, I know I'll ride around, I'll look at the newspaper. Do you, as a broker or an agent, how do you get first dibs on stuff that I probably wouldn't even see?
Right.
How does that work?
So when you pay for your licensing, those lovely fees that we pay for, you belong to the multiple listing service. So whenever properties come on the market, we see that all the time. So I have
Okay.
access to that all the time. So you may see Zillow, Realtor.com. Those things are third-party websites, and they're delayed. I'll see them first.
Gotcha.
So when I know Tracy's looking for 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms,
yep.
whatever
That was gonna
price
be my
point,
next question.
you are on a search,
say,
and I'm going to
hey.
get an alert every
Yes.
time those properties come up
Okay.
for you. And I'm going to call you and say, hey, I know you're working, but we
This
need to
is
get
out
out to this
there.
house.
Yeah,
Right,
gotcha.
right. Can you
Good.
get out on your lunch break? Can we do whatever, get you out to that property? So,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Nice.
learned a lot.
Your day though, it's not a 9 to 5 then.
It's not a 9 to
Because
5.
I work 9 to 5, so I can't, me looking for a house. So is it a lot of weekends,
A lot
nights?
of weekends. It is weekends. It's nights. We're sitting at dinner. My computer's there sometimes. My husband wants to throw it out the window.
Okay.
But if you're my client and there's multiple offers on a property and we need to get that offer in, guess what? I have to whip out my computer.
Yeah.
I was on the
Okay.
computer yesterday working with a client. So it's all the time.
Nonstop.
It's nonstop.
See, that's why I say you gotta be passionate, and I'd say that about anything, but even this more so,
Right.
Because you're working for the people,
Right.
you're working for yourself. Don't get me wrong, and you like what you're doing, but you are working for the people, and that depends on a pass or a fail.
Right, absolutely.
How much you put into it.
I've learned to partner with people. So when I'm out of town and I'm like away, you need to step away and be away.
Yeah.
Because it's taxing on your family. It's not just you.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
This really is.
Yeah.
This is nice. I'm glad we did this.
Yes, I am too. And education. I don't like to be the one to say our community doesn't do this and doesn't do that, and won't do this and won't do that. It's because we don't know.
We don't
right?
know.
We don't know.
Yeah, and either
if
we're
we
gonna
don't know-
complain about it or
right.
do something about it.
Right,
And you're
absolutely.
doing something about it. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just said education. Give the people, right? Talk to your 20-something-year-old first, right?
My 20-year-old self?
Yes,
Okay.
your 20-something-year-old self, because those are the ones that are like, I'm going into real estate. I'm gonna go this, do that, this. I got a nephew that's like, Auntie, I'm going to. He's gonna go to UNH, I think, or Southern. I think Southern. I'm going to Southern. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm going for business. Then I'm gonna get my real estate license, and I'm gonna blah, blah. Talk to that 20-something-year-old.
20-something-year-old, do it, right? That's the first thing I'll say is if that's your passion, do it. Because I don't consider myself having a job because it's a passion for me. But do it, but understand what comes with it. So I said, cubicles make me itch. That's my.
I like that.
Don't like to do it.
Cubicles make me itch. Kyle, write that
But
down.
understand,
That's
right?
title.
Understand, with that comes grind. Like you have to be willing to put in 50, 60, 70 hours, right? And that you're not going to do that forever. But in the beginning, as an entrepreneur, you are going to put in the time. You have to be willing to put in that time. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. But once you do, you'll get that satisfaction, right? It can become lucrative, but you have to be willing to put in that time. You have to.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm loving it. And that's the reason why we doing this podcast.
Exactly.
So that, real people have real stories
Right.
doing big things,
Yeah.
okay?
And the other thing I missed, I don't mean to cut you off, but make sure you brand yourself, right?
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. Your friends may say, she posted again. I don't care
Yeah.
because that is my business, right? That's my livelihood. That's my family's life. And that's my grandson's generational wealth,
there
right?
you go.
So if I come across your page too many times, just scroll past because I'm going to keep on posting.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm the
You
brand.
have to.
Yeah.
I have no one to hide behind. So,
Listen,
yeah.
you
And
just
you
gave me
unapologetic about
and she's-
that.
And our good friend over here is going to get herself back on social
Yes,
media,
yes,
right? And
yes.
brand yourself.
I
and
am.
brand your house.
I am. You said it. It's got to be done.
Because I was like that. I was like, oh my God, people are going to be sick of me. And I had a coach that's a social media coach. If they're not sick of you, you're not doing your job.
Wow.
So they don't like it too bad. Somebody needs the education.
Right.
Somebody needs to hear it. And you don't know if you're inspiring somebody with a career, right?
Right.
Or just, for me, I always refer to myself as the girl from North Main Street because, again,
Exactly.
we know where we're from.
Yeah.
Right.
And I never imagined that I would be able to be sitting at the table
Look
every
at you
Tuesday
now.
with millionaires that are selling real
Look at you
estate
now.
like
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm never gonna forget
Yeah.
that I'm from North Main Street. I'm
Exactly.
never gonna
right.
forget that.
That's
ever.
right.
Yes. Another
That
one,
was nice.
another one from North Main Street, right? From the north end of
My mother made us
Waterbury.
sit on the porch and wouldn't let us go anywhere.
Exactly.
North Main, everybody's like,
Exactly.
they're sitting on the porch.
Oh man.
Yep.
That is, I mean, yeah, I'm loving it.
Love it.
Loving it. You know, Tracy and I, when we started
I
this,
know, this is
we were
awesome.
just
Yeah.
like, we just gonna do it. We just gonna
Listen,
do it.
Yes,
no,
yes.
no, we weren't. It was Sean.
It was Sean. I just came
Listen,
along.
I
Right?
just
Yeah.
came-
Well, we did an interview. How it started. Sean and I did an interview, a phone interview, and then she called. I don't know that phone interview. Now we've been friends forever and a day, and that phone interview it just flowed.
No, I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you. The
Okay,
truth.
what's the real, Sean? Sean said, what's the real?
The real is a couple of years ago, maybe a little bit longer than
She
that.
going back. Okay.
Yeah, she was like, I want to do a show where it's like tea with Tracy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, tea with Tracy and this, that, and other. Right. She kept going. I was like, well, when you doing it? I don't know. Because she gets frustrated when she sees stuff. She just started getting frustrated.
I just told
wanna
her
talk
that.
about it.
I stay off
wanna
social
talk
media.
about it, right? So then when this podcast stuff came up, shout out to my producer, Kyle Barboza. He was like, Ma, you know you can, and you know you can.
I love it.
You know what I
love
mean?
it.
And I'm like, I don't know,
My
Kyle.
baby's telling me I can't. I have to.
Right.
Too. Yeah.
And so she was my first interview for You're 50 Now What? Because in the salon, we having these conversations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's only in the salon.
Right.
I mean, we are look, celebrities in our own town, right?
Yeah.
But people need to know this.
Right.
These are conversations that people need, right? And so I did the podcast. I do the podcast. I have 2 of them. The other one's called Back to Earth, and that one's on health and wellness and bringing people in that are in that space and blah blah blah, right? But having these conversations, I was like, all right, Tracy, you're gonna be my first interview. And she was like, well, I said, you want to have tea with, you want to have tea with Tracy?
That's
So
right.
that's what we're going to do.
Right.
And so, no, she was the catalyst for Tea and Cornbread.
And now look.
Yes.
Yes.
And now
I
look,
love it.
right?
I love it.
And
Yeah.
so I'm so happy that when I asked you to be on it, I thought it was going to be virtual. You was like, I'm going to be in Waterbury.
Nope,
I was like,
yep.
all
I
right,
was like,
we
now
gonna
we'll
let
be
it
live.
happen.
Listen, I didn't even realize till
Yeah.
I see her roll up. I said, I thought we was doing a Zoom call.
No. I was like, as a matter of fact, wait a minute. I'll be there in July. You know?
Nice.
Yeah.
She
So
Nice.
it's
I'm
perfect.
glad this worked out so good.
And I think I dropped a tear when you called me, though, Sean.
Really? I was like,
Really?
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm so
Nice.
happy. I'm so happy. And then, like I said, and what's awesome, even more awesome, is we go so far back, right?
Yeah.
Burton
Love
Street.
it. Exactly.
Glorious.
The original with,
right.
with the babies in
With
the,
babies,
walker in the
yes.
shop.
Yes, we
Yep.
go that
Yes,
far back.
yeah.
For those that don't know, Burton Street Glorias,
That's right.
Glorias in the salon, right?
Had everybody with a roller wrap. That's
Everybody,
right.
everybody with a roller
Everybody.
wrap. Look, and finger waves,
Finger waves,
all of that, right?
And the red that
the
you gave
red.
Lil, the red. Yes, we talk
yes.
about that all the time, all the time.
The red.
Yeah,
and
so-
then we go to the club after.
Yep.
Leave the salon, go to the club. So,
Yeah.
and then to evolve into our
Yes.
50s, right?
That's right.
50 and fabulous.
Right, and
okay?
fabulous and sleep
Yeah.
at 8:30.
Okay,
Yes.
right. That's all right. That's right. You're still fabulous, Fabulous, fabulosity has
That's
no
right.
time.
That's right.
No time. But awesome. Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
for
we
your time.
appreciate you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes,
this was
this
amazing.
conversation
Yeah.
is, I hope that those that are interested in going into real estate, hear what
educate
she's
you,
saying.
yes.
Yes.
Put this on a repeat for yourself. Keep looking at this because you gave a lot of gems.
And if I could ever be a resource, guess what?
There
I'm
you
one
go.
to pay it forward. Call me.
Awesome,
Thank you.
awesome.
We
Well,
love
we'll put
it.
your
We
information
love it.
in the description.
Yes.
And if you're in the Charlotte area, right, or
right.
North Carolina, South Carolina area, I got to remember that because we just bought in South Carolina. Yeah.
South Carolina. Yeah.
So yeah, and branding yourself.
Yes.
Brand yourself.
See, I'm not out there.
No
like
matter what
that.
your friends say,
So-
no matter how they put
It doesn't
you,
matter.
yes, it does not matter. It does not matter. And again, if they're not sick of you, you're not doing your job.
You're not
You're
doing your job.
enough.
Yes,
Yeah, so.
yes.
Well,
yes.
before we close, what's next for you?
For me,
What's next?
so for me, of course, going into my own company, opening
Yes.
up my own real estate
Definitely.
company, real estate investing. So we bought our first real estate investment property last year in Charlotte, coming up to where we're going to rent that one now and purchase our next investment property. And as I do that, my grandson is right next to me, right?
Nice.
My daughter's there, and she's like, when I had Jay, she forgot about me. I didn't forget about her.
Yeah.
But the grandkids are something. It's another level
Yeah,
of
it's a
love.
different
like,
kind of
it's
love,
different,
though.
right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
for me, that's having him like right next to me,
And
so that
seeing
he
it.
can see and be part of that decision making process, right? So that young black man will understand. You don't have to. You can now, right? If you want to
can,
punch
if you
somebody's
want
clock,
to.
but you don't
Yeah.
have to,
Right.
Because I'm going to teach
Right.
him to make his own money
Right.
and just create generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Generational wealth.
Listen,
Awesome.
I have one of my clients that was talking about Cheyenne being in the shop, roller skating. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
On the roller skates. Now, all that, and she talks to people, when people say, how do you know this? She said, listen, I grew up in the salon. I had no choice.
Right,
I had no
right.
choice. And then Kyle was my
I
receptionist.
learned how to communicate at what? 3 months
Yeah,
old. Leave me alone.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Kyle was my receptionist for I don't know, 8, 9 years, Kyle? He was my receptionist to the point where my clients was like, I miss Kyle.
Yeah.
I miss
We
Kyle.
don't want you. We
Right,
want Kyle.
right. I miss Kyle. Just tell Kyle to call me,
Right.
just so I can hear his voice.
It's so
And so yes, that's what that is, and teaching them those basic skill sets.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's all it is, really.
It
It's
is.
basic skill sets, communication, and then it helps that you have big families,
Right.
And everybody is, the village is so tight,
Right. Yeah.
you know, and that's what people are missing too.
It is.
the village,
It is,
and the
yeah.
village doesn't necessarily have to be quote unquote, like she's my sister, you know, and people sometimes they go, "How you know Sean?"
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Hello.
I think that's a crazy question,
It's
but
a crazy question.
Exactly. Like
Because people separate people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They think you're this or that or whatever, but in reality, it's no. We're all in this
right,
together.
and that village,
Right.
like you say, is just without that, I don't know where I would be.
Where-
right?
exactly.
Because I have
Definitely.
friends, I have family, but I also have accountability partners.
Yes.
And when I talk about accountability partners, you know Lily, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Douglas,
Yes,
they
and
will
Dr.
pull me
Douglas.
together, right?
She's
They will
gonna
pull
be
me-
on
yes.
on our podcast.
Yes.
Too,
So
yeah.
you need people like that. Like, okay, I'm slacking this week. I don't have my clients that I need, and they're like, listen, we need to meet, and we will Zoom. Like we'll
Yeah.
FaceTime or
Yeah.
we'll Zoom.
That's awesome.
This is your goal for the week. That's your goal for the
Yeah,
week. Those are
nice.
my accountability partners,
Yeah.
and you
Nice.
need those.
That's it.
have
You
to have
do.
them.
You
that
do.
will hold you, like hold your feet to the fire.
Right, right.
And
I
there's
have a
nothing
couple
wrong with
girlfriends
it.
that way.
There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it.
So Sean said you got to get your social media. She's holding
Yeah.
your feet to
And I do it. I
Listen.
do it. I go Tracy.
We're
Listen.
gonna see her up there real soon.
Soon. You got it.
We're gonna do
You
it.
done said it. You put it out there, Vic. So it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Because we got to start our Tea and Cornbread social media.
Yes,
we don't
yes.
have that.
Yes.
And
We don't have that.
when you learn the power of social media and how far that goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still a little scared of
I'm
it.
learning. I am too. I'm learning.
Yeah.
My 9-year-old niece taught me how to do TikTok.
TikTok.
Okay.
And TikTok, I didn't know you can send those videos like so far. Like I've gotten people to respond to me in Charlotte and
countries.
North and South Carolina. It has more power than Facebook, but we don't know because I'm like, I'm older.
Right.
I don't have time
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So like
yeah.
you got Kyle,
Yeah.
right? You got the ones that
Kyle
know how
does
to
it
do
all
it,
the
and
time.
we have
Ma.
to use that to
Ma.
our advantage. Because I thought
Yes.
TikTok was just dancing for kids, and it's not. People are out there
not.
marketing
Nice.
themselves.
Right,
Yeah,
and so
nice.
I did one that quote unquote went viral. Viral to me is over 100
viral,
people.
right?
Look, I'm sitting here saying you went viral.
Listen,
Right,
don't talk to me now. I'm a
Right,
celebrity.
right, exactly. Hold on, I'm waiting for my check.
Talk to my assistant.
Yeah. And so Kyle was like, "Ma, you gotta do more of those." I said, "I understand that, but that was just like, you know, I just did it, and to do it regularly,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's right because it's just it's out there, man.
And I
it's
have
free.
so much. I mean,
Yeah.
because I've been doing classes in person forever. You know what I mean? Classes in person because the New Path Wellness Group is 9 years old already. But doing it part time
blessing.
and jumping out because I closed the shop just before COVID. I didn't know COVID was happening. It was already
Isn't that something?
January 2020. I was like, December 31st, I'm done, y'all. And everybody was having a
You
fit.
can't do this, Sean. You can't.
Yeah.
I'm getting accosted in the street. It's like, oh,
They
so
wanna
you just
fight?
yeah, they want to fight. But the crazy part is God knows what He's doing, right? And when
Absolutely.
you don't know that and you're walking in your purpose, because that was my bread and butter,
Right.
And so for me to just jump out on faith, now I'm like you said, what did the guy say to you? You can't what?
You can't chase two rabbits.
You can't chase two rabbits, and that's what I was doing for 7 years
Yeah.
before I go. All right, I'm doing new path, and then this podcast stuff happened, and all of it is
Yeah.
comes together. But I'm glad, you know, because I feel like I have a little bit more freedom,
Yeah.
just a little. But the
And you
grind
walked
is
out
no
on
different.
faith. Yep.
I was
Listen,
getting
when
ready
I
to
had
say,
to
you do?
leave my job, and I'm like, Lord, you know, because it's a lot.
It is
it's
a lot. And
Yeah.
having that faith, talking to our Father,
All
right?
day, all
talking
day.
to our
Yeah.
Father, like you got me, right?
And now you see that was what he meant for you, right?
Yeah,
Because now
yeah.
you're walking in it.
Yeah,
So.
walking in it, and I'm having a ball.
Yes,
I'm
I
having
love
a ball. And
that. I love it.
reconnecting, you know. And
love it.
This is
social media
important.
keeps us connected too,
Yeah.
because I hadn't seen you in years,
Yes,
right?
yep.
But we see each other,
Exactly.
right? I see you on
That's
Facebook.
why I say social media is a double-edged sword, though, too.
It
Because
is,
then it's
it
like
is.
2 hours later.
It's still up there.
Right, wasted time.
It's still up
and
there.
look, my grandson.
But it's not all wasted time.
My grandson
It is.
already
A lot-
knows
some of
to
it.
do this.
Right.
Because
Right,
we
they
do
know.
FaceTime. If I don't see him in person, it's
And
like
he's sitting here.
yeah, and he does like this with his thumb. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's all good. It's all
good.
good. So we're gonna have to continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This gotta happen
Absolutely.
at least.
Yes.
Because if you're not doing your own podcast,
I'll leave
throwing
it
that out
to
there.
you ladies to do that, right?
Well,
And-
you
and
got to
if we
come
do-
back.
I know my
then.
lane, right? I
Right,
gotta
right,
stay in
right.
my lane. Yeah.
But this conversation and this information is very important for us as a people,
Right.
and for that new person out there, black, white, and indifferent, don't matter.
Right.
For that new person out there, and for that person that's 50 that says, you know, I always
wanted to do this. Yes.
Right.
And I always
Yes.
played it safe because our parents
Yeah.
teach us you have to get that good job and
Yeah.
stay on that
Yes.
job until you retire.
Yes.
It's, right. And something inside me was like, there's more. I wasn't put here to just do
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
There's something else. There's more.
Yeah.
And I thank God that I took that
lead.
Yes.
And you have that support.
And I thank
you
my
know.
husband,
Yes,
and I thank
I
my
was gonna
family,
say.
and yes,
Definitely.
because I wouldn't have been
That's
able to do it on
important.
my own, right?
That's
You
important.
can't do anything on your own.
No.
Yeah.
I say
And
that
anybody
to people
says
all the
it, you're a
time.
fool.
You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
You know, when people go, oh, do you still have the shop? Nope. Why? Because I
'Cause I don't.
retired.
Right, 'cause I don't.
I
'Cause
retired.
I worked
I'm
hard
doing
enough to
something
be
else.
able to
Yeah.
do this.
I was
Yeah.
like, listen,
Yeah.
this is almost 40 years. I
Yeah.
started before Kyle was
Right.
born. You know, I said, so,
Yep.
no.
Yeah.
And I miss it. I miss the space. I
Right.
miss having the space. So I want to buy a building.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You are going to buy
Yes,
a building.
I'm
You're
going to
Say
buy
it.
a
to
building.
manifest
Say
that.
it.
Yes.
Yes, and I believe in manifestation, absolutely. So yes, the building, yes, the building, the wellness center, the grocery store.
I know a few good real
all of
estate
it.
agents if you need one.
All right, awesome,
See, here you
awesome,
go.
awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
all
Making
of
those
that,
connections.
right?
Yeah.
And not by myself, with my sisters.
Right.
You know,
Right.
with it doesn't have to all be sisters, but that's where it starts,
Right.
right?
Right, exactly.
With our
Look,
sisters.
that could be all sisters.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going back and forth with this one.
But still, at the same time, here, the first one here, and really, you know, bring it to life.
I love
You
it.
know what I'm saying? And be ready, because 3 months we're gonna schedule it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let's do
every
it. Let's
quarter
do it.
we will have a little segment
Yes.
with the
With some-
broker.
Yes.
Yep.
And we'll do some
Education with
right, I was gonna
Vicky.
say that.
Yes,
We'll do some
education,
education.
yes.
Education with
absolutely.
Vicky.
The
Absolutely.
broker education.
Yes.
All
Because I
right?
still have faith in my people. We're gonna do
Absolutely.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
This
And
is
it's-
how it starts, though. This is how it starts. Conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the other things that you said is we don't this and we don't that. You said you don't start like that. It's like nope, this is what can be done,
Right.
and we call it solutionist.
Right, we
I
gotta
thought
know better
I thought
to
I
do
made
better.
that word up, but it's not. It is a word.
Oh, it is a word.
It is
okay.
a word. I thought I made it up.
Sean said she thought she made it
I
up.
did. I thought I
Okay.
made it up.
I
I,
thought
said
I
I'm
did
a
something
solutionist.
great.
Yeah. I'm a solutionist. It's like no, I don't care about what you're doing. It's like what is the solution?
You're like,
What do you want to do
no,
about
no.
it? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? What do you want to do about it?
Yep.
That's
You
it.
gotta
That's
know
it.
better to do better.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely,
That's it.
absolutely.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
We thank you so
All
much.
right,
We
thank
appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
And it
stopping
was
Thank you for
easy.
giving us
See,
that
I was all
time.
nervous
It
this morning.
is, yeah,
Yes.
because you know
Just-
what?
just
You're
flow.
passionate about it.
Right.
And we started off with what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When we think too hard, though, is when we start to mess up.
Yeah.
Right.
Just let it go.
Absolutely.
Right.
Let it
Yeah.
go.
And someone said to me, you know, I like it when y'all raw. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be so professional.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Because
Yeah.
you know people don't relate when it's
Scripted.
Right.
But
When it's
yeah,
scripted,
know your
we don't
audience.
want it to be
Know
scripted.
your
Exactly.
audience.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're talking to all of y'all out there that don't mind us slouching and doing all of this and you know
And reminding
Just
Sean how
being
she used to keep
ourselves.
us,
yeah, doing all of that, right?
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
And
Yeah.
so this is Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Sean and Tracy, and we will be back soon.
Yes.
With Miss Vicky, we're gonna make sure that she is part of this conversation, that we continue this conversation on
education.
Yes, education on generational wealth.
Yes.
Right. Like, share, subscribe. Give us your comments. If you're out there and you know Miss Vicky, you know, shout out to
Yes.
Miss Vicky
Right.
in the comments.
Get her
we
some
will-
questions for our next
whatever
segment with
questions,
her.
Exactly.
Yes.
What would you like for her to expound on? Because she was talking about some things that she's like, that's a whole different rabbit hole. What would you like her to expound on? Put your question in the comments. All righty. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye-bye.
day.
Thank you.